You could probably guess by my greener surroundings, my going to town clothes, increased ambient noise, or the fact that nobody wants to stop at these stop signs, that I'm back in California now. 800 miles in a 31-year-old Volvo can be a little nerve-wracking, to say the least. But I'm happy to report that old Beluga here made it without any hiccups. You never really know, especially with the 240, what kind of batch of car you're going to get, and it really comes down to the owner before you, what sort of care and maintenance they gave this vehicle before you bought it. This is a drive that I've done many times before, and it can take anywhere from 10 hours in a BMW to 16 hours in an overweight school bus. The Volvo was squarely in the middle of that scoreboard, about 13 and a half hours, and it seemed to be quite comfortable as the sun set and the elevation dropped. All 100 ponies of this 2.3 liter engine came to life, and I was able to cruise 75 pretty much the whole way over here. In this video, I'll show you the whole journey of getting the car ready and the drive out here, some of my concerns that I had along the way, and at the end, make sure you watch through. I have two big announcements to make. Yeah, it's tight in here, but it's 102 out there. And hello, back here working on the 240. So this is a day for suspension stuff. There are a couple of bushings on the control arms, and I am working to access all of them. However, you'll notice that my bushings are currently perfect. And the other one looks just as good, but I couldn't get the other one off. Here's the problem. Saw this happen a lot on the 122s as well, and that explains why it's been spot welded here and over there. The welds eventually broke, and every time I hit a bump, clunk, clunk, clunk. No bueno. So what's my solution going to be? Is it replace the panel? Nope, it's going to be spot welded again. Not much to really the back end of that arm there, that's where that bushing goes. And while I'm at it, I also changed the ball joints, which are very important and easy job to do. Here's the hefty new hardware that it comes with. And here's the hefty new ball joint. One thing to be aware, and that is the boot. You know, you want to align the arm relative to the bracket so that the boot doesn't twist when you then get it into its final position. It shouldn't twist much because it really needs to turn back and forth with the steering wheel, but while they're brand new and tight, they might twist a little bit on that boot and stress it. So this is an old ball joint. If yours looks anything like this, change it. You don't want that breaking on the road. There's the old hardware for the ball joint. One of them has a bracket like that. It's quite useful, but I like to keep hardware, but I will be tossing the joint. And then the sway bar end link. Mine didn't look awful. The bushings are okay. This one's a little squished just from the angle that it sits at. But the new one here, for the couple bucks that it cost, comes with these nice little poly bushings. And it's a, might stiffen up a little bit the sway that this old boat seems to have. Boy, does she sway a lot. Let's have a look on the other end. From the exhaust manifold, you can see the bracket and the bushing up there. You'll get a pretty good look at it here with the wheel off. There's the back bolt for it. There are 3 bolts holding that bushing. There's 1, 2, and 3. And with those out, I can then pry the whole arm down. Frankly, I would remove the whole arm, but this guy here, who is in good shape, is just awful to get to because the steering boot is right in the way of that front hardware, and I don't have the right kind of wrenches to fit it. There are 4 bolts. You can see the 2 on this side holding it up to the bottom of the shock tube. This is an easy job because you don't have to remove much to get to this stuff with a pry bar. And there's the nut and the washer. Hey, what do you know? This side's nice and stiff. Well, that's good. Well, I can go ahead and put that back. I'm gonna grease things up a little bit. It'll help it move a little smoother. Taking the time also to change the fuel pump and the fuel filter on the 240 because it's whining a lot and I don't want to have a problem driving tomorrow all the way to California. So it's just too many steps involved. You've got to separate this whole thing from the cage. There's the old one. I'll mark the new one so that the next fellers can at least know when the stuff was changed, and I'll keep the old ones in case there's a problem with this new one. Import Direct. I've used this brand before on my BMW and I liked it. All right, let's just get this car finished up here. The suspension's back together, so she's ready to hit the road pretty soon. She's got to build up fuel pressure. She'll catch herself. There we go. Please don't leak. I beg of you. What do you know? The replacement pump is buzzing just as loud. What does that mean? And of course, one of the last things to break in my care of this vehicle, the odometer gear. So there's the explosion of screws. I kind of remember where everything goes. It broke while driving, not while pressing the reset button. So funny how that works, right? It's good to go. We've only lost about 200 miles on the odometer. But here's another thing that's troubling me. After changing the fuel pumps, the new fuel pump is just as noisy, and I'm a little nervous because I've got 800 miles to drive tomorrow, and I'm hoping everything's okay on the stretch of highway. I got insurance and I got a tow, so at least there's that. Oh, look, here's Soren in his R. Well, I was getting real stressed about the whole thing. I'm like, I'm leaving in the morning, and I want the fuel pump to work, and I gotta open the tank, and I don't have the tools, I don't have a good fuel pump to check if it's something else. And you know what? It's all about a mental shift. And I was like, look, I don't have to be anywhere. This is a self-imposed departure date, so I would rather take the time to look into this now than I would spend that time on the side of a highway waiting for a truck. So let me just take an extra day, do what I gotta do, fix what I gotta fix, and make sure I can guarantee a safe trip there and back again. So with that being said, see you guys in the morning. We'll get into that tank, and best case scenario, it's just like the sock is ripped or slipped off, or the fuel line is ruptured in there, and so it's just sort of swirling in there, and it's not getting to the second fuel pump. But, you know, it's all in your head. Don't stress these things, and I feel better for it, so good night. Okay, folks, we have a dead fuel pump. I added 12 volts straight to it. Nothing's happening. It's getting power at both terminals, but it is just not turning anymore. So that explains why the second pump was struggling to breathe in all of the vapors and oxygen and everything else. But the boot was fine. This little boot here, typically if it rips, then, you know, when the gas tank is full, it'll be okay. And then as it gets down below that level, it'll start sucking in air. But I had a full tank and it was kind of struggling. So there it is. She's gonzo. Anyway, Nick's on his way here with another pump, and then I'd like to hit the road. Thank you very much. Thanks for rescuing me, Nick. I can hit the road now.
You're welcome, bro.
Touch wires to...
black and white, right?
Yeah, white's positive.
Okay. Oh, sick. It worked now. Thank you. Good?
Yes. You saved my again. Now I can go home. Nice Xterra, by the way.
Yeah, I love it.
Do you have a name for it that uses the word Xterra? Like,
no.
extra
I was going to just name it like Johnny 5. Because if you look at the headlights on the front, they look like the Short Circuit robot headlights. Do you remember the movie Short Circuit?
Yeah, I also remember Johnny
5.
Great. Okay, I'm ready to embark, but my spare tire is flat, and I'm going to check all the other tires. There's a pressure sticker somewhere. I got to find out what the front and rears want to be first. I forgot I don't have AC, so I had to pack an ice box. Hopefully that'll help. I'm going to cook these frozen burritos on my dashboard. You'll see. 5.5 gallons, 29 miles per gallon so far on the 161 miles. That was a little bit of elevation gain, and I feel confident being able to reset my trip meter now that I have replaced the odometer gear. Yo, you can find fireworks anywhere, but you'd be surprised how difficult it is for me to find a fire extinguisher. Oh, this is a cool spot though. And they're sold out here too. I think there's another truck stop right down the way. I can try that one. All right, everything seems okay right now. We've got 350 miles to go in Arizona and then another 250 in California. So I wish we were halfway, but we're not even. Let's do a quick look underneath for leaks. I see nothing, but I definitely hear That pump buzzing. I hope you can see this, but there's a single beam of light shining through the rain clouds there, and that's really cool. It's very Gandalf versus the Nazgul to me. All right, I'm in Flagstaff and 25 miles per gallon, which is okay. We're climbing up in elevation again. And I was going about 80 miles most of the way, so not bad considering. Next leg of the trip, probably take us to the end of Arizona. Kingman, I think it is. All right, it's just about 10 p.m. I'm here in Kingman. We're filling up probably every 6 gallons, which is kind of me playing it safe with the fuel tank. Let's see, we just did another 150 miles and 5.5 gallons. So this here is the crossroad between Highway 93, which if I were to follow that way where them trucks are going, that'll take me all the way to Las Vegas. Awfully tempting. And I'll just continue on 40 till we hit Barstow, California, on my way to LA. So car's doing great. I spent a lot of time actually right around 80 miles an hour. I was starting to get more confident and a little more impatient, if I'm being honest. And to be clear, she's great. At 80 miles an hour is really no problem. There are some times where I'm getting vibrations at low speeds, and then sometimes that same vibration will be at a higher speed, but it's never consistent. So if it'll vibrate the wheels at, let's say, 70 miles an hour, I think some of that was just probably time of day and the temperature, but then later it'll happen at 85. But then as it cooled down, 85 was great. So I don't know. I'm not really gonna push it more than that, and I'm trying not to really force it up hills. That's why I'm not using the cruise control on hills, because basic cruise control will just say, oh, you wanna keep speed? Pedal to the floor. We don't need that. I checked my oil again. It was topped off and full, not a single drop spilled or leaked or burnt in the previous 500 miles or so. I'm actually very happy with the car. I mean, I've got too many vehicles right now, so I'm really looking forward to rehoming this vehicle. Somebody's really gonna enjoy it out there in LA. And it's still like 80 degrees outside, which is crazy. That's okay. We got a couple more hours to go. I'd like to be home before 4 a.m. We'll see. I think I have one more fill up. We are 345 miles from LA, I think. Something like that. So it'll be one more fill up and then I'm home. One other quick thing I'd like to do is actually aim the headlights a little higher, because they just seem to be slightly low on the road, and I'm kind of in between high beams and low beams for what's an effective range. We've got our adjuster screws on the back. That bottom one's probably going to go in or out, and that one there should be up or down. However, I think they do work in conjunction with one another, so this is not a very accurate place to test. Well, I did a couple turns up by unscrewing them, and that kind of helped. Let's see how that does when we get out on the road again. 28 miles per gallon on this latest stretch, and that's actually pretty good, considering that I'm at a higher speed, but we are down to about 4,000 feet elevation. The highest elevation we hit, I believe, was 7,333 feet, and that was up in the pass right there at Flagstaff. And now we started going downhill. Pretty soon we'll be at sea level. Here's hoping for some acceleration as we merge onto the highway. I think this is second gear. About 3/4 throttle. There we go into third. And I've got a pretty good opening on the highway here, and overdrive right around 65. Yeah, it wasn't so bad, you know. It seems like not all gas stations are created equal, but I've had pretty good luck. I put premium only in this car. That's, I think, the way to do it. Now, you can't see a thing out there, and I shouldn't be recording too long while driving, but we're about to hit some hills, and the rest of the drive is not that scenic. Checking out our next fill up for fuel economy. Behind me is the rumble of a 3 or 4 mile freight train. This is the only thing around for 50 miles in either direction. We're 100 miles from the previous gas station, and this is a chevron that is 50 miles into the border of California. The next services are up the road another 45 miles, so you are in the middle of a desert. you have to climb in elevation from 900 feet, right where the border is, up to 2,700 feet. And it's a really gradual, long climb, and it's hot out at night. Imagine how much hotter it is in the daytime. I can tell you, I've done it with the school bus, and it was awful. It was pinging. It was that hot. So this gas station, I'm going to show you here in a second, has the second most expensive prices for fuel in California that I've ever seen. Okay, take a guess. Yep. There's a cool little body of water here. Probably a lot of really interesting wildlife in the area, just because this is the only thing around. Thankfully, I'm not here for gas. I just need to get some water. I've run out, and energy drinks do not make a good substitute, I'll tell you what. But I don't feel quite sleepy at all. Still got 200 miles to go. Just thought I'd stop and show you this. All right, we've seen their prices for gasoline. What do you think I had to pay for a gallon of water? Just standard cold water. $6. Same as a gallon of gas. Miles outside of Barstow, and apparently I'm the only one who noticed that fuel is 20 cents cheaper a gallon here. But I think they've got the better truck stop just down the road. So as far as my needs go, we're in the last 2 hours, 140 miles to go before I'm home. I consider that the home stretch. One thing I've enjoyed about heading west is that you do feel like you get a little extra time with the time zones changing. Back to Pacific from Mountain. Arizona's kind of a wild card since they don't see daylight savings time. But I hit 85 miles an hour a couple times. It was just great. I mean, this thing is doing so well, and I couldn't be more proud. So things we got a good one here, folks. But I don't want to speak to her too soon. Well, I guess the savings in fuel cost were not made up by the savings in time, because I've been out here for 10 minutes and this pump is still going so slow. I could see why nobody else would stop here once we figure it out. Alright, we finally finished this, and we're logging in about 25 miles per gallon on this last batch. Not bad considering I was going pretty quick. And that's it. That's the last 140 miles. A little insult to injury is sometimes after 13 hours of driving, the last thing you want to do is look for parking. It's getting cramped out here, folks. I'm probably 4 blocks away, maybe 3, yeah, from home. So that's going to be a bit of a walk. But we made it. That was good. It was a successful drive, and I'm really proud of this old girl for not having any issues along the way. It's 4:30 in the morning. The sun's gonna be up soon, so I better get to bed before it starts brightening up everything, because that'll just make it more difficult. Good night. Well, there it is. We made it in one piece. She did great. I mean, 0 issues. Didn't drink a drop of oil. Temperature stayed center the whole time. And the interior stayed in pretty remarkable shape. Now for my 2 big announcements. The first one is that I have secured registration for the Volvo Club of America National Meet in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania in September, Labor Day weekend. So I'm gonna be making a full month-long trip coast to coast between middle of August to the end of September, month and a half. And I'd like to see you guys along the way. So send me an email, message me, comment, let me know if you're somewhere between California and New York. I do plan on doing a lot of touristy stuff, but it'd be fun to stop by, meet you guys, shoot a video on whatever project you're working on, and just all around, see the country, have a great time making new friends. I like these kinds of adventures, and it's been, well, it's a little overdue since it's been a couple of years since my last one. The second big announcement is that the Volvo Rescue has struck once more. And this time we have saved a very special car, a 1975 Volvo 245, the very first year of this iconic body, and the wagon out of all of them. This car has a green exterior with a brown interior. It's a very dangerous combination for the 1970s. And it has a odometer that reads 73,000 miles. It's a one-family car, and it was parked in about 2003. It's got the B20 engine, being the first year of the 240, and it will have a 4-speed manual transmission, non-overdrive. It's not something I'm gonna be working on immediately, but I wanna show you the video of that. We'll get to it in a minute, and then we gotta get right into the 164 stuff. I have a lot of things to catch you up on. Stay tuned for those. I'll be putting them out frequently again. And pretty soon, in about, I don't know, a month from now, I believe Ivy should be making the very same drive that Beluga here just made to California. 800 miles, maybe we'll do it all in one day. Got my fingers crossed that we're gonna have no problems as well. Well, thanks very much for watching. I appreciate you, and thank you to my patrons, all my subscribers. I am very grateful for your thumbs up on this video and all the future episodes to come. The quinine helps to fight the vaccine's magnetism.
Johnny 5.